I know that this education is somewhat outside the city council, that we have an elected board in Jersey City. My question to you is, in general, do you support the expansion of charter schools in Jersey City, or would you say that it's better that we take the existing public schools and fix them up?
It's twofold. I mean, the end game is to improve our public schools, give our kids the best opportunities as possible. Charter schools are somewhat of a complementary. I hope that with a few charter schools, they would develop best practices, then we bring them on to the public district schools. But at the same point, now we may have started hitting a saturation point. I probably would not support more charter schools, but the global number. But I'd certainly like to see new schools come aboard, but at the same time closing down failing charter schools, because charter schools fail like public schools.
I think that it's not an either-or situation. I think that charter schools play an important role in encouraging kind of new and innovative ideas and ways of educating our children. And I think some of them perform well, some of them perform average, and some of them perform poorly. That being said, that's not really within the realm of the Jersey City Board of Education. What's in the realm and the responsibility of the Jersey City Board of Education, I've worked on the campaigns for every member who is now elected, and really want to see a change in that schools, and I think that you have to focus on both. And we're not necessarily going to shut down charter options, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that we don't focus like a laser on making our public schools better.
Do you feel comfortable sending your son to a public high school in Jersey City, not named McNair or Prep?
Well, to be honest with you, no, I don't at this point. No. There's a long way to go. And right now, the options on the table for me and my son, I would prefer that he goes to McNair or some of the county magnet schools. Or he would like to go to St. Peter's Prep, which is obviously a private school and expensive, and so I've told him if he can get a scholarship that he's more than welcome to go to St. Peter's Prep.
The answer is yes. They're going to go to public high school in Jersey City.
And what high school would they be going to?
But where they choose obviously has a lot to do on what they do, their abilities. My children may end up going to McNair if they're able to get into McNair. It's a testing school. They could end up going to one variation of a public magnet school, or they could go to a general school where there's a specific program that interests them.
Is there any specific affordable housing initiatives that you would put forward on the council for Ward 8?
Well, one of the things that was voted down in one of the city council meetings in the last year was having integrated affordable housing into some of our newer developments. And I think when you look at, there are times when people feel there are the haves and the have-nots in Jersey City. One of the great things is that with the influx of development into downtown specifically, it's become great. And one of the things that's really important is the diversity of the communities. And I think we want to preserve that diversity. Our artistic community is really what put us on the map. It's what makes it such a special place. And we need to do something for those people. So I think integrated housing, I think shipping people off and saying we're going to build affordable housing over here and try and keep people separate instead of unified is not really the direction that we want our city to go. And I think if we continue to go that direction, we're going to kind of erode what makes the city special.
Well, I'm a strong believer in mixed income, in that we need to maintain the affordable housing, whether moderate, low income, on site. So we end up with developments that don't have their affordable housing sent elsewhere to the city. I think it should remain on site. I mean, it's always a push-pull because developers say, well, it's cheaper to build it somewhere else, but then we end up putting it all somewhere else. So that's the kind of view I would take on the affordable housing policy in the city. They come down, I don't support them stripping out affordable housing or low-income housing from the projects on site.
Has overdevelopment become an issue in Ward 8?
We can say we're overdeveloped now, but we have a lot of vacant land. We have a good chunk of vacant land in Liberty Harbor, even down in Paul's Hook and Exchange Place, there's vacant land that's going to be developed. And as things go, land gets more and more expensive. Overall, we're going to be a denser city without question, whether it's downtown Jersey City outside of the historic districts. So if you want to live someplace that's more of a human scale, you may want to think about the historic districts. And General Square, obviously, with what's in the pipeline for that. But coupled with becoming a denser city with smaller residences, we then in turn got to invest in our public amenities, whether it's parks, Public space like the Plaza Down Grocery, I'd like to see more expansion of public spaces and would work towards that. Sustainable development, invest, as we've gone through struggles the last few years with our budget, I would like to see our library budgets restored, so that as we live in smaller and smaller places, we have the option of public space.
I think that overdeveloped is, I guess, a matter of perspective. We always want to encourage for our city to have, more smart development, and so I think to the extent that we are getting something in return, we need to listen to the communities. And sometimes a high-rise may or may not fit into a neighborhood, and we need to look at that on a case-by-case basis. But what I can say is that we have given away a lot of land, and we've not necessarily done a good job. In fact, we haven't done a good job of making sure that we get what we were promised out of those deals that were made for those tax abatements.
What would you say are 3 great things Mayor Healy's done for Ward 8?
So one of the things that I think was a proper response was in a time of crisis after Hurricane Sandy, when there was looting that was occurring, putting in place a curfew was a good idea. I think that there were a lot of missed opportunities around Hurricane Sandy, but that's the one thing that I could say would kind of come out of that I thought was a good idea. Listen, he comes to the events, the soccer events, and he's got one of the nicest voices in the world, and he's very friendly. Overall, I don't think he's right for leading our city forward, and that's why I'm on Stephen Phillips' ticket.
Has Steve Fulop been a great councilman for Ward 8 over the last couple of years?
Well, what I'm not going to do is, that's subjective, and in my view, it would probably be subjective too. However, to flip it around, what I've done in Ward 8, everything from more close to 10 years ago when we started working on the Path Plaza, we had to work with the administration. In 2007, 2008, the pay-to-play reforms, contracting and redevelopment pay-to-play before and after the election, I worked with Steve Fulop, and I had a prominent role in that. And now back with the Bike Jersey City and the bike plan, we work with the administration again, and we have after on and off 15 years of work, we now have a plan that's going to start being striped in this year. So regardless of who is mayor, I will work with them to get things done for the residents of Ward 8 and the residents of Jersey City as a whole.
For more information about Jersey City, please visit HudsonCountyTV.com.